Good morning, good evening, and good night. That is a quote from a Truman Show, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, hope everyone's been having a great day so far. Make sure to hydrate, and let's get into it. So, as you can see here, this is Dimitri Raymond. He is the he's kind of a bit of a love interest for Livia. I mean, Livia's had a crush on him for I don't remember how long, but it's been a little bit. But anyway. Dimitri is a Russian-American teenage boy. He is very flirtatious, and he is definitely more of a survivalist, and he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to the apocalypse, or more specifically, World War III. Anyway, Dimitri is one of my more favorite characters to write, specifically because he's so, charismatic and, just kind of someone that you would just love to hang out with in real life, at least by my experience. Dimitri is described to have blonde hair and calming silvery blue eyes. Not the same as Delilah's icy blue eyes that feel like they're stabbing you every second she looks at you, or even just looking in your general direction. Fun fact, during the scene where they're at the school and Dimitri is going inside the school to grab something, the dialogue that comes after he comes out, specifically when he calls Livia Mrs. Raymond, that is actually based off of a real conversation that I had with my now ex, who would consistently do things like that. Despite what it may seem like, Dimitri didn't accidentally find Livia. He was deliberately looking for her. It didn't take him that long, though, because honestly, Livia's little, base in, the tree was not very subtle. Originally, Dimitri was actually based on my now ex, but I changed some things about him later on just to, kind of differentiate him from my ex, because my ex had then broken up with me, and I decided to kind of separate the character from the person that he was originally based off of. Fun fact. When Dimitri and Livia were down that really eerily quiet street, and then they eventually get jumped by the Kings of Hell, that is actually a real street in my town that I had been down before, once, and that was also the same street that my now ex lives on. And when the Kings of Hell had cornered Dimitri and Livia, Dimitri was ready to throw hands and absolutely, go all out when it came to fighting these 3 adult men that had cornered 2 teenagers. Dimitri was ready to defend Livia with his life. Interactions between Dimitri and Delilah were based off of interactions between my best friend and my ex, which were very heated for some reason. The scene where Dimitri and Livia are both in the truck bed coming back from getting weapons, I think. And Livia is like, but it could all be a terrible prank. That is based off of a real thing that I thought when I was with my ex. Dimitri's favorite Disney movie is not actually Moana, but Moana is a close second. For Dimitri, it would probably be Sleeping Beauty. Fun fact, it was actually Dimitri who framed it as robbing Walmart and not Livia. Livia heard Dimitri muttering, "Oh my god, we're robbing Walmart. This is amazing." Yeah. And continuing at the Walmart scene, when we see the 2 girls and they're killed, that was Dimitri. I feel like a lot of people would think that it was Gabriel, but it was actually Dimitri. Dimitri has built his confidence over a few years, And honestly, it's really sweet whenever he stands up for Livia and is always looking out for her. I feel like there's probably going to be somebody out there who's going to ship Dimitri and Delilah for some reason. And that scares me almost as much as a Delilah x Livia kind of ship. Ew. First of all, Delilah and Livia? No, that is absolutely heinous and should never be said at all. But Dimitri and Delilah? What about their relationship screams romantic? I get somebody would probably think of it as like an enemies to lovers sort of thing, or like a rival, or more like a rivals to lovers, because they're not exactly like intent on killing each other until like towards the end. So I guess it could still count as enemies to lovers, but even then, no, just no. Another fun fact, Dimitri is actually really bad at cooking, but he is really good at baking. Another fun fact, during the scene where Dimitri is talking about that one day when they were in C period, so the third period of the day for school, and this one girl accidentally bumps into Delilah and apologized, but Delilah was like, "Oh my god, stop being so rude to me." That's actually based on a real, like, thing that was said to me, a real life scenario that was literally told to me as though it was the truth. And personally, I don't think it was true given what context I have now rather than what context I had earlier. Dimitri is a really good fisherman. I mean, I mean, this isn't really reliable narration, but Livia describes Dimitri as having the skills of a master fisherman. So, personally, if this were the Hunger Games, I feel like Dimitri would be in District 4. I feel like Dimitri and Finnick would actually get along really well. Maybe I unintentionally put some of Finnick in Dimitri. Who knows? Also, a quick fun fact that's not necessarily related to Dimitri, but maybe sort of. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, Dimitri's kind of an expert on like guns and weaponry and stuff like that. But anyway, every single gun that has ever been mentioned by name in the entire story, I had to Google every single one. I had to Google which ones would make sense for the context and just would just make sense in general, realistically. Because I tried to make this as realistic as possible and tried to keep some of it, like, sort of not realistic, to make it believable, but kind of like, kind of reinforce the idea of unreliable narration. Fun fact, I share a birthday with Dimitri. I gave Dimitri my birthday because I wanted to add my birthday to somebody, but I didn't want it to be Livia or Julia, the characters who were kind of based off of me. So I decided to give it to Dimitri instead because sometimes I kind of wish that I were Dimitri, like when it comes to like being all charismatic with other people and being like a kind of a more of a social kind of person, because sometimes I wish that I was more social, but I'm not. I only wish that I was social because, like, I'd like to, be more approachable to people because I feel like I'm not that approachable in real life, so. But yeah, fun fact, Dimitri said that he was interested in getting into the Marines when he was older. That is based off of a real conversation that I had with my ex. He wanted to join the Marines, if that wasn't clear. Fun fact, Dimitri actually knows about 3 languages, and one of them included the language that the foreign soldiers were speaking. Do not ask me where the foreign soldiers are from because I never came up with a definitive answer to that because I wasn't sure what where they would actually be from. I was not sure at all. If you have any more questions about these characters, please comment them down below. Make sure to hydrate and drink water. Bye!